Welcome back, guys. We are joined today by a guy who has roots, and obviously he was born in Ireland. He has roots in Iran and Iraq. His name is Neil Yadolahi. Very pleased to be here with him today to speak about his career. Has a lot of experience playing with the youth national teams of Ireland. He was called up to the Iraqi national team and also briefly to the Iranian national team. How are you doing today, Neil?
I'm very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. It's a pleasure to speak to you.
Thanks very much. Appreciate that. So, obviously, for those who don't know, Neil, a lot of his career he spent in England, but also he was in America as well for a little while. Speak to me about your family. That's what we really want to know about. What about your Iranian life? What kind of closeness do you have with the Iranian culture, etc.?
Yeah, so I'm Irish born to an Irish mother and Iranian Iraqi father. So my father, his parents, so my grandparents are Iraqi, and all my family are, my father included, is Iranian. They all to this day live in Tehran. They emigrated from Baghdad to Tehran, and they're still there to this day. So Iranian Iraqi kind of heritage, yeah. Which obviously allows me to play for either country. But yeah, growing up, an Irish mother to an Iranian father, had a good education in football and youth football in Dublin, in Ireland, playing for one of the best teams at youth levels, at schoolboy, as they call it. And that kind of got me attention. Under 15 level, I played for the Republic of Ireland national team, which is the first age in the youth national teams, which was a big honour for me. And, 15, that kind of playing at that kind of big stage got a lot of interest from UK. Normally, most of the players at 15, 16 get a lot of interest from over across the water, Irish lads. So, look, it was my dream as a kid growing up. It was all I ever did was kick a ball against the wall morning to night, and it was my dream as a kid growing up. It was my childhood dream, and when I finally got an offer, it was a dream come true for myself and my family, especially my father, who came over to Ireland in about 30 years now. He must have been 25, I think he was, 30 plus years ago now, and he's never looked back since. But he was great and very instrumental for me getting my move across to England. He brought me to every training session, and I think it was bittersweet as well when I finally got a decent deal over in England at 16, and never really looked back since then, really.
So obviously you said your parents and your mum's from an Iraqi your mum's Iraqi, your dad's obviously from Iran, but he moved from Iraq to Iran. Talk to me about being like an Iranian Iraqi living in Ireland. Was there kind of any feelings of, did you feel Irish? I mean, obviously you're born in Ireland. I'm the same. I was born in Scotland with Iranian parents. But what was your feeling in terms of your nationality, how you felt within Irish schools, etc.?
Well, I suppose 'cause I'm born and bred in Dublin, and like I said, my mum, she's Irish. She's from Dublin, so I think that was obviously a big help. I know a lot of people who aren't born in Ireland, for example, and have come over from Iraq and Iran. I think who have parents who are both Iraqi or Iranian, and I think it's probably a bit tougher for them to settle in. But me having an Irish mother and growing up and being born in Dublin, it was absolutely fine. I mean, I had a brilliant childhood. I had brilliant friends around me, great school, and was quite lucky in that sense. But growing up, I had the second name, which was quite awkward for Irish people to pronounce, and I'm not very Irish looking at all because I'm very dark featured, and I take after my dad in that sense. But I suppose as I got older, I think I became more kind of, I suppose, proud to have the root in me from my father's side. And, as you say, normal is boring, and, it's nice to have a little something in you as well. And like I said, it's, I traveled to Iran for the first time in January ever. And, I was blown away by the amount of family I actually really have, over there, aunts, uncles, granny, granddad, cousins, and extended family as well. And, I come from a small family myself, my bigger brother Stephen, and a mum and dad, and that's really it. So I kind of grew up kind of not knowing my family in Iran and never met them. And, I think meeting them finally in January was very eye-opening. It's something that I was kind of overwhelming to meet them. So it's probably still something I'm getting used to in a way,
And Neil, do you speak any of the languages at all? Arabic, Farsi, etc.?
Look, I'm not fluent. I know a few words here and there in Arabic and in Farsi as well. It's just, I think growing up as a kid with my dad who speaks Farsi and Arabic fluently every single day. He'd be on the phone, and then his friends, and that would be both Iranian and Iraqi. So I think I picked up quite a bit, growing up as a kid and that, but I wouldn't say I'd be fluent in either languages, So.
Right. Do you have any Iranian foods that you really like, for example?
I think it's a korma sabzi.
Korma sabzi, okay, very good.
That's the one,
Popular choice.
Yeah, that's the one that the whole family love, my mom included as well. So yeah, that was probably the one dish that stood out for me, I think.
Excellent. Okay, so about your football career, obviously, so what I can see, you started your career at St. Kevin's Boys in Ireland, and then you moved to Burnley U23s in England. How was that transition?
So St. Kevin's Boys was the local kind of schoolboy club that I played with back home in Dublin up until I was 15, and once I started playing for the under-15s international team in Republic of Ireland, it kind of got me a lot of interest from abroad. I'd been on various trials in England, and eventually signed for Burnley, who were in the Premier League at the time, managed by Owen Coyle, and signed a 4-year deal, which was security, safety, and a nice long contract, and I had a couple of offers from a few other clubs. Reading, West Brom had come in as well, but at the time Burnley were in the Premier League. They were just being promoted to the Premier League, and there was a good buzz, and I got a good vibe off the chairman and the manager, who brought my parents over. And look, at 16 to be given a 4-year deal, it's not really heard of, especially back then. So I kind of snapped their hand off, to be honest,
Yeah, of course. And then obviously that lasted for how many, like a year, a season, and then you moved to Derby.
I was at Burnley for 4 years.
Oh, okay, 4 years. Oh, yeah, sorry. I'm reading the wrong thing. Yeah, so you were there until 2012, and then you moved to Derby after that.
2013, I moved to Derby.
Right, okay.
Yeah,
I'm getting the wrong information on this website. Sorry. So, yeah, you moved to Derby in 2013.
It depends where you're reading. There's all sorts of...
I'm reading on Transfer Market. So
the Transfer Market, I suppose, can be a bit misleading. I think it's not very updated.
We'll let the master tell us what's going on.
Yeah,
look, the guy who experienced this.
I'm used to it. Don't worry, but it's one of them. I think them websites can be accessed by anyone behind the computer.
Yeah, they can be edited as well.
Yeah. So I really wouldn't too much into it.
Okay, so you moved to Derby afterwards.
Yeah, spent 1 year playing for Derby County, who were in a championship at the time, very big club. Unfortunately, I had a good 4 years at Burnley, don't get me wrong. Was in the first team at 17. But I think the sour point being at Burnley was in the 4 years I was there, I played under 4 different managers, so it was very kind of stop-start, not just for myself, but for the whole bunch of lads that were on the team there. So look, it was a great experience, a great first step in professional football, and look, I have great memories there, and I really love my time there. Fantastic club, very welcoming, very homely club. And then look, it's like football, one chapter closes, another one begins, and Derby were flying high, a big club, and I went there, hoping, I suppose, for a fresh start. Nigel Clough was the manager at the time, and unfortunately I spent most of my time there on the treatment table. It wasn't a great experience, football terms, being at Derby, but look, that's part and parcel of football, so yeah, I'm not the only one that has suffered injuries down the years as well, so.
And then I'm right in saying that you moved to Bohemians and then Drogheda United in the Irish League.
I left Derby County in January and signed for a Turkish club called Bursaspor.
Right, okay.
It was a 2.5-year deal I signed, but I only spent 6 months there due to payments that weren't paid on time and a bit of messing around. But it was a short stint there. It wasn't very a happy part of my career, and I returned home to play for Bohemians in the Irish Premier League, which are quite a big historical club in Ireland, and great fan base, great club, and spent a short time there.
And what was the reason for this? Why were you getting injured so much? What was the reason? Do you know, was it just a bad luck, or did you have something?
Look, it's like saying how long is a piece of string. It's one of them. Like, no one likes to be injured. It's just part of football and being a professional sport. And yeah, look, I would never label myself as having bad luck, although a lot of players would. I mean, it's not. It's part of football. I mean, I wish I never got injured, and I wish I had a lot more kind of games to show for myself. But look, that's football, and injuries is part of it. And the more you kind of look into injuries, the more likely you are to have more setbacks. You need to kind of stay positive, especially during those times. They were serious enough injuries as well at the time, and these things as well. It's like it's all individual and how your body responds to being injured and how it reacts to the treatment and the rehab. So it is. Look, don't get me wrong. It can be a very daunting and tough period when you're injured. Like being in the gym every day, stuck with physios and strength and conditioning coaches, and looking at the lads train. It's never easy. It's never nice. But it's part of football again, and you gotta kind of accept that in a sport like you're playing, like especially at that top level. So.
Sure. And then you moved to the States. You moved to Vancouver Whitecaps. Actually, that's a team that fellow Iranian footballer Betashur you played for as well recently. But what was that like? Obviously, you didn't feature in any matches, but
no. So again, injury struck when I was there. So unfortunately, it was a great experience, a short spell again. But look, unfortunately, an injury happened there as well, and it kept me out for a period of time. And unfortunately, I didn't have really a chance to get back into the team and play. So, but look, it's a lot of Iranian people in Canada as well. Great club and a great league. I think it's still improving as a league. The MLS, it's getting stronger, and a lot of big name players are playing there every year. It's getting the caliber of players are improving as well. So again, an experience in my career, and I'm sure there'll be many more.
Of course. So we'll move on to the sort of the part where people would really like to know about your national team experiences. Obviously, just from this website, this might be very unmisleading, but just from this, I can see that they've said that you've played 21 games between U15s and U21s. Is that kind of a good estimate?
I'd imagine so. That'd be about right. Yeah, I've played every level anyway.
Yeah, so every level from U15 to U21s for the Irish national teams, and then you also got called up to the Iraqi national team.
Yeah, so I got called up to the Iranian one first during my time for Vancouver Whitecaps. My agent at the time was the agency was based in Los Angeles, America, and one of the guys involved was a fella who was Iranian, a Canadian Iranian, and I think for the previous 12 months they were asking the question, the Iranian FA, would I consider playing for Iran? And I said, look, because I just finished playing on the 21 level for Ireland, I didn't know where my future lied, and it was just something that was asked of me, and I never said no to it, but it was one of them that I didn't look too much into at the time. And at the time, Carlos Queiroz was the manager, who obviously knows a lot about England, spent a lot of time of his managerial career as the number 2 to Alex Ferguson at Man United. So, like, he's a great guy to kind of be in demand of your services. And he made the call a few times to see if I would be interested. And I eventually agreed to go to a training camp in Doha. It was 28-man squad, I believe it was. It was 4 or 5 days in Doha. It was, again, I hadn't made a formal kind of way of deciding to play for which national team. It was just an invite. I accepted it, and I think ever since that kind of call up, there was a lot of teams straight away from the Middle East, particularly in the Persian Gulf League, that took a massive interest. And I've always said that I would like to experience playing in Iran, because I know a few of the teams, I know a couple of players that played over there, and it was just something that I said I would like to tick off, in my career. And I think now, unfortunately, the last few years especially, it's been tough for the league itself, and it's not very secure in terms of being paid on time and getting paid altogether your lump sum. And when you have those doubts as well, it's not very, it doesn't paint a great picture to go over there, and it's not really of an attractive prospect going to a league, to a country that, first of all, you don't speak the language, and not having security of getting paid when you should be getting paid, and so on. And I also obviously went to got an invite through the grandparent rule. I got invited to the Iraq national team. The manager of that team was Radish Nashel, and again, it was a question I was asked down the line, and I went again. I never made a commitment to either national team, and I said I'd go, and it was a good experience. It was I travelled out to the north of Iraq to, again, a training camp. So I travelled with a couple of English players who were playing in England, Yasser Kassem and Shwan Jalal, who played in England, and we travelled together, and it was a great experience again. We went to Erbil for a couple of weeks, and during the off season, it was when the season finished, June time, and extremely hot, as you can imagine. But again, the Iraqi, just like the Iranian supporters, they're football mad. They love, especially players who kind of have a background of maybe European born and Iranian heritage or Iraqi heritage. And look, it was a great experience, and one that I'll always remember as well.
And just going back to sort of when you were called up to the national team of Iran by Carlos Queiroz, that was in 2017. Am I right? Or 2018?
No, the Iranian one was
2016. So that would have been just after the Asian Cup, and that was, for people who know, that was an era where sort of centre backs, especially Iranian centre backs, were kind of lessening, particularly due to age. We were losing, not losing quality, but we're losing sort of the sort of legs. We had Jalal Hosseini, who was the captain of the national team. He was a little bit older. He retired last year. Montazeri, who obviously was kind of coming to the end of his career. We were having younger guys like Pradi Ganji coming through, but you're obviously, it's not surprising that he went after someone like yourself, a centre back who's playing in Europe or playing in a foreign country from obviously from Ireland. So it's not surprising. But what was his? Did he have anything to say to you that sort of stuck with you in that time?
Well, it was 2014 now. It was actually 5 years ago when they first made the contact. And it was actually assistant at the time, Omid Namazi, who first got in touch and spoke to me. And again, American, Iranian, and had a lengthy conversations with him a few times myself and the agent at the time. And it's one of them, I've nothing but respect, especially for Carlos Queiroz. He was always very nice to deal with and speak to, and, a man of great experience. And his philosophy and his kind of interest and what he wanted to do for the national team was to really bring players who are born in Europe and played in Europe, who had either grandparents or the parents that, were Iranian. And he really
he believed in that. Yeah.
Yeah, he really focused, and that was a message he got across to me, that he really wanted to bring players like myself into the national team. You know, who were playing at a level in the European level, or playing in top leagues, and who played in England and whatnot. So that was the message that was kind of laid across straight away to me. And look, I think Iran have benefited that massively from that. Like, look at Dejaga from Germany, he was one, and there's a few others of course as well.
Najad as well.
Gucci Najad, yeah. But he again was great for Iran as well, and
Yeah.
there's a few more as well that had kind of Beta Sure as well. There was a few that had made the same kind of journey, like, you know, being born in Europe or playing in Europe, and you know, being called up to the national team. And look, that's part of, I think, a lot of, not just Iran and Iraq are doing that, but a lot of other foreign countries in the Gulf regions in Asia are doing the same thing, you know, because it's
Absolutely.
it's just quite, you know, known as like leagues in Europe, and that are a lot stronger probably than that's no respect to clubs, you know, but that's just how it is, you know.
No, absolutely. And I think if you look at that time when Queiroz was in the national team, when he just joined I think it was 2011, there weren't many Iranians that were born in Iran playing in European leagues anyway. So that had to happen. And then I think when what you're saying is now, like, obviously you're saying that the European leagues are much stronger than the Asian league. That's obvious. We all know that. But now you can see there's so many Iranians that were born in Iran going into Europe now, and that's something that maybe you and also Dejaga and all these players were pioneers in sort of showing these Iranians that this is where they should be playing. And I think that's kind of a really, really good example that Queiroz set for Iranian footballers. So sort of just last question I want to ask you is, you had interest from Persian Gulf Premier League clubs, Persian Gulf Pro League clubs. What was that all about? What was that all about?
So ever since the interest from going to the national team, you know, a lot of interest came in from Iran, like, you know, and I always said, like, at the time, especially when I even looked into it was no disrespect to the clubs. I mean, the money I was being offered was very significant as well. It was big money that was, you know, put in the contract to me, but the timing wasn't right at the time. I think a couple of years, 2 years ago now, there was one club that I had held talks with and had come to an agreement to go over, but unfortunately that club was, they had a transfer embargo at the time, and it never worked out in the end. But look, I think now the big thing for Iranian teams as well, there's been contact over this summer as well about potentially going over, and, you know, it's something that I said I would do, but it's got to be the right circumstances. And I think again, no disrespect to the Iranian league, but I think we all know that the country is going through a difficult time in certain aspects, and the security of getting maybe your salary is not guaranteed, and never is really guaranteed. And that's something that, again, that, you know, it's just a given that when a player signs a contract, he should be paid on time. And it's one of them that's an ongoing discussion, as you know very well. And a lot of players who go over there, foreign players, are kind of left in limbo about even if they will get paid. And it is tough, like, it really is tough. And unfortunately, that's part of I suppose the league over in Iran at this moment in time, you know.
I think certainly there are clubs now who've improved with that. For example, Esteghlal, Persepolis, the two big clubs, but I think also Tirado Sazi, the club in Tabriz, have kind of improved. They obviously got Anthony Stokes last season. So and he only left because of, I think it was personal issues. But I think they're improving. So I think there's always the opportunity for you to go abroad, to go to Iran. But, you know, obviously they're the lower, you know, the sort of lower ranked teams. They're not the most reliable. So I get what you're saying in that respect. What was I going to ask you? Yeah, final question. So this is the real final question. Would you ever be interested in playing for Iran ever, if you were to get called up? Like, let's just say if you were to get Now you're saying you're training with Bolton. Is that right? Yeah, and then obviously if you were to play regularly for a club, would you be interested in playing for Iran?
I definitely would, yeah. Like, I mean, it's part of me, Iran as a country. Like, it's my father's country, and all my family live in Tehran. So, like I said, it's if that opportunity did come again, like, it would definitely be something that would be fantastic opportunity, and like, I know for a fact it would bring a lot of happiness to the Iranian supporters. So yeah, I would definitely wouldn't rule it out. But again, it's something that may never happen, or it may happen. Who knows? Like, football is a strange world.
Fantastic. And what are you doing now? What's your plans just now?
At the moment, so I had the last injury I had was last year. It was an MCL injury. So I'm just literally back training full time now, and just literally deciding what's best next to do. Like, so free agent at this moment in time, and literally just going through what's best to do for the next move.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Neil, for coming on the podcast. We really appreciate you just taking out your time to do that. If you guys want to, how can they find you on social? You got social media that they can follow you on? Yeah,
so the only social media platform I do use is Instagram.
Instagram. Okay, so yeah, follow Neil on Instagram. Make sure if you go to that club, make sure you follow him, and we will definitely keep you guys posted about his career. Thanks very much, Neil.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.